theyeshiva.net.
We're going to focus now on a Tosfos in the sugi of the Gemarah and of Beis and Aleph. It's the second to the last Tosfos. Let's remember the context so we can understand what the question that will be addressed here. The Gemarah is struggling to understand the definition of Oir. Oir la'arba'as or boitkin as. I know that it's on the 14th day. I don't know when on the 14th day. Rabbi Yehuda said it's Leila, meaning Oir means night. No, it means light, but it's a euphemism for night. And Rabbi Huna said Nigi, which means it's day. Oir means daytime, which means in the morning of the 14th of Nisan, you have to be boidik chametz, not the night before. That would be the practical argument, how you interpret Oir. The Gemarah went into a long discussion that continues throughout Daf Beis Amud Aleph, Daf Beis Amud Beis, and Daf Gimel Amud Aleph to ascertain who was right, Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Huna, from different sources, both in the Tanakh, in the Torah and Nevi'im, as well as in Torah Shabbal Peh, in Mishnayos and Brises. First, he starts off naturally with Torah Shabbat, and then Amud Beis shifts to Torah Shabbal Peh. One of the great proofs, which seems to be a slam dunk, siding with Rabbi Huna versus Rabbi Yehuda, is the pasuk in Bereshis, where the first time Oir is introduced and day and night are introduced in the creation. Vayikra lekim la'oir yoyim v'lachayshach kara layla. The Rabbeinu Shalom called Oir yoyim, and chayshach he called layla, means he gave it a name. Light. Oir he called light, which means the time of light he calls day. The time of darkness he calls night, which is what we do. We say daytime when it's light outside. We say nighttime when it's dark outside. That's what we all do in every single language, whatever language you're using. So we have a clear proof. The Torah itself says that Hashem gave a name for Oir. And the name for Oir is Yom. So when the Mishnah says Oir, how can anybody have a question and say that the Mishnah, which obviously is following Lashon Kodesh, the language of Torah, says Oir, it means Yom. It would be like it would say Yom Arba Asar Boitkin Asachamet on the day of Arba Asar. That was the question. So the Gemarah offers an explanation that would defend Rabbi Yehuda. And what was the explanation? Vayikra lekim la Oir is not Oir as a noun, but Oir as a verb. Meaning, it's not that Hashem defined, he gave a name to Oir. What is Oir? Oir is Yom, and what is Yom? Yom is Oir. Vayikra lekim la Oir. As it starts shining, Hashem gave a name, la Oir, as it starts, seheptan leichten. In the words of the Gemarah, lemeir uba kara Yom. Vayikra lekim la Oir. As the Oir comes, as the light emerges, because as we know, it doesn't get light in an instant. It's a process, it's a process every morning. There's what's called Alois HaShachar and what's called Neitz HaChama. Alois HaShachar means when dawn breaks, meaning the first rays of light appear on the horizon. It's still pretty dark outside. Today it was 5:30-ish, right? 5:20, 5:30. Anybody knows when Alois was today? Approximately that time. If you were up then, 5:15, right before it was dark. Even a few minutes later it was dark. It's the beginning of light. Is that called Yom or it's not called Yom? Do we have to wait for sunrise when the actual sun, the ball that we call the sun, the spherical ball of the sun actually appears, or no? Even if it's Meirabah. So the Gemarah says, Vayikra lekim la'oir. The process of Oir is called Yom. So you could say Oir as a noun is a euphemism for night. It's not that when it says Oir it means Yom. La'oir here is not the noun of Oir. It's the process of it getting light in the world, on earth. Zog the Gemarah, you can't say this. Why? If so, the continuation of the pasuk has to be in sync with the beginning of the pasuk. You can't interpret one sentence, half of the sentence one way, and the other sentence the opposite way. So when it says V'lachayshach kara layla, he's not talking about the noun. Darkness, he gives a name for the time of darkness as night. He's talking about L'machshich uba kara layla. The process of it getting dark is called layla, meaning just like in the morning, even before sunrise, we call it day. Torah calls it day, even though the sun is not here yet, the sun didn't appear yet. Because it's getting light, which means that the time between Alois HaShachar and Neitzachama are considered day, which is Taka the Halacha. The halacha is, we have a Mishnah, for example, we'll soon see Masechta Megillah. The Mishnah says in Masechta Megillah, you don't read the Megillah on Purim. You don't give a bris. You don't go to the mikveh. You don't sprinkle. And other things till Neitzachama, till sunrise. It comes Purim, you want to read the Megillah, you need to do it by day. You do it by night also, but you need to do it by day. You have to do it from sunrise. But if you did it before sunrise, kosher. You fulfilled the mitzvah. You're good. You did the mitzvah. Kosher. Because it's considered yom. If it would be considered night, you wouldn't fulfill the mitzvah that you have to do during the day. That means it's called day. So that means the time when it's getting dark, which would mean sunset, when the sun is not here yet. Just like before sunrise, the sun is not here, but there's light of the sun. After sunset, the sun is not here, but there's still light left, but it's getting dark because the sun is setting more and more over the horizon, and it's getting darker and darker until it's going to be completely dark. Nightfall will come. That should also be Laila. No, maybe. Marash, says the Gemarah, but that's not the case. Why? As the Gemarah says, Chaim, we have a halacha that till Tzeisak Echav, meaning till the emergence of the stars, which is what we call nightfall, when it becomes night, after sunset, later than sunset, is considered Yamam, is called day. So we can't say Lachayshach Karalayla means when it's getting dark, because that's not called night in halacha. That's actually called day. Til Tzeisak Echavim has a definition of day, Yamam. So we're stuck now. So you have to go back and say Lachayshach Karalayla means, as a noun, the time of darkness is called night, when it's actually dark, not when it's getting dark, not before Tzeisak Echavim. If so, you have to say that with Oyer. This is a refutation of Rabbi Yehuda. And therefore, the Gemarah offers a completely different interpretation of the pasuk that Vayikra has nothing to do with a name. He wasn't giving Oyer a name. He wasn't calling a day. He was actually summoning the creation of Oyer, and he was giving it an instruction of how to serve and when to serve. Hashem was creating, so to speak, the cycle of the cosmos, of how our world, how our planet, and the solar system functions. Zok Tosfos. Now the Gemarah assumed that Til Tzeisak Echavim is day is a given. That itself you can ask. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a given. Kaimalam. Kaimalam means it's an established principle. It's established halach. So Tosfos says, Oimeri, Rabbeinu Yitzchak says, the Pshitale le Gemarah, it's Parshas. It's obvious to the Gemarah, it's not a question. The Ad Tzeisak Echavim Yamama. Till the stars emerge, which is what we call nightfall, is called day. Mishum, why is this obvious? The Maskina B'Sei Perek Beis de Megillah, because the Gemarah in the end of the second chapter of Megillah, Daf Chaf Hamid Beis, explaining that Mishnah, that what if you did it from Amud HaShachar, you're Yoitza. So the Gemarah brings the pasuk and says, the Ma'alois HaShachar Yoimhu. Alois HaShachar is considered day from when dawn breaks. The Ksiv, because the pasuk says, Va'anachnu oisim b'melacha. We are doing the work. When are we doing the work? Me'alois hashachar ad tzeisak echavim. This is a pasuk in Nehemiah, chapter 4, also sometimes called Ezra. The Jewish people come back from Bavel, and they begin the construction of the second Beis HaMikdash, and they're doing work, construction work, from alois hashachar till tzeisak echavim. This is a verse. V'oimer, and the pasuk continues and says, V'hayalanu halayla mishmar, v'hayayim malacha. At night we rest, we guard, we rest, we preserve, and by day we work. So 1 + 1 = 2. You're telling me they do work from alois hashachar till tzeisak echavim. You're telling me that the day is designated for work, and the night stop working. And you told me that work is when? From alois hashachar till tzeisak echavim. If night would start before tzeisak echavim, then don't say by Laila we rest, that by day we do malacha. You're doing a little bit. You're going into the nighttime also, which is of course more expensive, late hours. So therefore you can't say that till tzeisak echavim, even before tzeisak echavim is considered Laila, because they're working till tzeisak echavim, and they say in the pasuk, and we take psukim very seriously, It says we work by day and not at night. That means whenever we work is considered daytime. And the time given was Alois HaShachar. Because this is a pasuk, a clear pasuk in Nehemiah, and the Gemara explains in Masechta Megillah that on this is based halacha, how we look at Alois HaShachar, how we look at Tzeisak Echavim. Therefore, it's clear that till Tzeisak Echavim is day, and it's not a question, it's a clear pasuk in Nehemiah. Fine. Umei nami muchach. And from that Gemara bringing this pasuk is also clear that Tzeisak Echavim Yoimu. In other words, the point of the Gemara is to bring out that Alois HaShachar begins Yom. That's the point there. We want to explain why all these mitzvahs, if you did it from Alois HaShachar, you were Yoitzi, even though the Chatchila you should wait for sunrise. But from there we also have it clear, if from Alois HaShachar is day, we don't wait for Neitzachama because they said we worked by day and we worked from Alois HaShachar. You don't say they mean we worked mostly by day. If they would mean we worked mostly by day, then you could say Alois HaShachar is still night. They worked from Alois HaShachar. They worked a little bit by night and mostly day. We don't touch it like that. We see that the Gemara takes the pasuk very literal. Alois HaShachar is day. Why? Because they said we work by day, or they work from Alois HaShachar. You have to say day. And so that's why Tosfos has to bring the Gemara. Why can't Tosfos just bring a pasuk? Why does he have to bring the Gemara? Because the pasuk itself, I could say, okay, it means like everybody says, I work during the daytime, but everybody knows you sit in the office also at nighttime. An important email comes, a telephone call, etc. You still work by day, but some people work at night. But you see from the Gemara that lahalacha we say, you blow shofar, you read the Megillah, you give a bris. The 8th day, you give a bris. Alois HaShachar, you didn't give a bris at night, you gave a bris by day. That means the Gemara takes the pasuk very literally. We work only by day. And if we work by Alois HaShachar, it means it's daytime. From the same pilpul, from the same discussion, you could learn the opposite. That night begins only by Tzeisak Echavim, and that's why they say we only work by day, because till Tzeisak Echavim is day. Clear, yeah? Clear. L'chayr, everything is clear. From this pasuk, it's not difficult. Now Tosfos is raising a difficulty. What's the difficulty? L'tanoi, the Perek B'mem Adlikin. The Tanoim who discussed this issue in the chapter of B'mem Adlikin, which is the second chapter of Masechta Shabbos, Shabbos Lamed Daled and Lamed Hey. The Ka'amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Mishatishka Hachama, from when the sun sets, Kol Zman Shepnei Mizrach Madimin, as long as the face of the east is red from the reflection of the sun, which just set in the west. So you still see redness. So Rabbi Yehuda says, that's all considered before Tzeisak Echavim. That's a suffix day, a suffix night. V'ikelamanda Amar Hasam, and there's one opinion there, Shnei Chelkei Mil, that this is 2/3 of a mil, which is approximately a kilometer. I'll explain in a moment. Which apparently is a long time, a shag doila, a long hour, a long time before Tzeisak Echavim. What is Tosfos asking? So I printed it out. We made a copy. Rabbi Gans made us the copies of Masechta Shabbos, so we could see what Tosfos is asking. Let's take a look here. What is going on? Okay. Tanu Rabbanan. Shabbos Daf Lamed Daled Amud Beis, 4 lines from the top. Tanu Rabbanan. The rabbis taught. Bein HaShmashot. There's a concept called Bein HaShmashot. In English, we call it twilight. Literally, it means between the suns. Bein HaShmashot means between the suns. A very interesting name. Between one sun and another sun. Bein HaShmashot, Safek min hayom min halayla. We have a doubt. Is it day or is it night? Safek, we have a second doubt. Maybe it's kulim min hayom, maybe it's all day. Safek, we have a third doubt. Kulim min halayla, it's all night. Therefore, we treat it as both days, as the day leaving and the day coming, because we're not sure what it is. We have 3 doubts. Doubt number 1 is it's day and night. Doubt number 2, it's only day or it's only night. Literally, what this means is, what does this mean? Rashi says, Min hayom min halayla koloymar safek yesh ba mishnayim. Perhaps it has both, which means literally part of Bein HaShmashot is day. Part of Bein HaShmashot is night. That's 1. Safek kulim min hayom, safek kulim min halayla. Rashi, Hare Gimel Sveikus. Our uncertainty exists on three levels. We have three doubts about this period called Bein HaShmashot. Lefichach matilin alav chaymer shnei hayamim, and therefore we treat it with the stringencies of both days. So that would mean, for example, Friday night is coming. A regular day doesn't matter so much, but Friday night is a big thing, or Yom Kippur night, or Yom Tif night, when the whole halacha changes. So it comes Bein HaShmashos, a Friday evening. It may be Friday. If it's Friday, you could do everything you want. You could light candles, you could work, you could bathe, you could cook, etc. It may be night, which means it's already Shabbos, so you're not allowed to do malacha. It may be partly day, partly night, meaning at some point it's still day, at some point it's still, and I don't know which one it is. So I have to treat it like Shabbos. I have to treat it Motzei Shabbos, the same thing. I have to treat it like Shabbos, even though yesterday I treated it like Shabbos. Today I have to treat it like Shabbos still, even though it's going into Motzei Shabbos, because I don't know what Bein HaShmashos is. That's Bein HaShmashos. Now the question is...
The half and half is not a thing.
It is, because I could say, let's say Bein HaShmashos is a period of 30 minutes, just for argument's sake, it's going to be less, but let's say it's 30 minutes. I could say those 30 minutes are really day. Really, it's daytime. It's still the previous day. I could say it's already night. It's already belongs to the following night. Or I could say maybe 15 is this, maybe 14, maybe 13 and a half, maybe 12 and a millisecond is day, and then it goes off to night. In other words, I'm confused about this period. I don't know what it is.
You want to name it
I want to know halachically what's its status. What's its status? Now, I still don't know when Bein HaShmashos is. The Gemarah just introduces a concept called Bein HaShmashos, and we're confused about it.
So it's the same subject, it's just the time.
Yes, yeah. Frag the Gemarah Ve'ezo Bein HaShmashos. What is Bein HaShmashos? What do you mean? When is Bein HaShmashos? So the Gemarah answers, Mishatishka Hachama. Once the sun sets. Till the sun sets, I have no Bein HaShmashos. Once the sun set, which we understand, that the ball of the sun set on the horizon, so I don't see it anymore. There's a point where I could see the sun, right? It's at the west of the horizon, it's going down from my perception, and then it disappears. And of course, that would change upon where you're living, your perspective, where you are, obviously. Sunset in one place could be 6 hours earlier than sunset in another place. You're living in Yerushalayim, and your Shabbos comes in 6 hours earlier, 7 hours earlier, because you're in a different position in the planet. You're in the north, you're in the south, you're in the east, you're in the west. But whatever your Shkias Achama is, that's how you celebrate your holidays. So Kol Zman Shepnei Mizrach Ma'adimin. As long as the face of Mizrach, meaning there's still a redness of the sun that you could see, this is called Bein HaShmashos. Hichsif HaTachton, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Oh, a reflection. It means a reflection. Right. Pnei Mizrach, from the shining, right. A reflection of the sun, right. That's why it says Pnei Mizrach. And then he goes through words here, which the Gemarah is, Hichsif HaTachton v'lo Hichsif HaElyon Bein HaShmashos. As long as the lower part of the horizon is dark, but not the higher, it's Bein HaShmashos, Hichsif HaElyon v'Ishvel HaTachton. Once they both become dark, Zehu Laila, this is light. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. That's Bein HaShmashos, which is a little ambiguous. He didn't give us minutes or anything. Reb Nechemya says no. Let a person walk from sunset a half a mil. A mil is approximately a kilometer. In today's approximately a kilometer. Our mile is much longer when we say mile in English, but the mil in Talmudic terminology is approximately a kilometer, and it's a chatzi mil. Rabbi Yossi Yomer Bein HaShmashos keherefayim. Bein HaShmashos the blink of an eye. Zeh nichnas v'zeh yotzei. This day goes in. The one day goes out. A new day comes in. V'yev shalam alov. There's no way to ascertain this time of Bein HaShmashos. Three opinions, which the Gemarah now goes on to discuss at length. Okay. Now, to explain Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that Bein HaShmashos is from sunset, after sunset, until it becomes dark. How long is that time? Right? He spoke about the horizon becoming dark on the bottom, but not on the top, and then also on the top after Shkias Achama. So the Gemarah discusses two opinions. Later down, Amar Rabba, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Shloisha Chelkei Mil. And then there's the second opinion. Rabbi Yosef says, 3 lines from the bottom, Shnei Chelkei Mil. Basically, there's an argument what Rabbi Yehuda meant. What was his shear? Was it 3/4 of a mil, or was it 2/3 of a mil? Rabbi says it's 3/4 of a mil. You take the mil and you divide it in 4. and it's 3/4. And Rabbi Yosef, who argues with him, says, no, it's 2/3 of a mil. That's the time of Bein HaShmashot, according to Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Nechemia, it's a half a mil after Shkiyas Achama. According to Rabbi Yossi, it's keherifying. Now, this is the time of Bein HaShmashot. What happens after Bein HaShmashot? As he says, Laila. It's called night. So Bein HaShmashot, I'm not sure. It's twilight. I don't know what it is. The sun set already. What do I do now? Is it day? Is it night? I'm not sure. Maybe it's day. Maybe it's night. Maybe part of it is day. Maybe part of it is night. We're confused. We act as though we're confused, meaning we're not sure. We're not sure about Bein HaShmashot. We live in this limbo. This is the limbo time, twilight time. After this time is over, it's night. How long is this time? The Gemara gave two opinions. 3/4 of a mil or 2/3 of a mil. What is a mil? I said it's like a kilometer. What does that mean? Most opinions believe, there's basically 3 opinions what a mil is. 18 minutes, 22.5 minutes, and 24 minutes. Maximum 24 minutes is a mil. You say Kedei Hiluch mil, you mean 24 minutes. Minimum size of shear is 18 minutes. Okay? Some say 22.5 minutes. This is a machlokes among the Rishonim. Let's assume the first one, the minimum one, which is 18 minutes. If Rabbi Yehuda says that Bein HaShmashot is 3/4 of a mil, 3/4 of a mil is 18 minutes. What would be 3/4? 3/4 of a mil. We have to split 18 into 4. So it would be 4.5. 4.5 would be 9. Another 4.5. Another 4.5 would be 18. Right? We want 3/4 of a mil. So what is it? 13.5 minutes. That's if we do the first opinion, 3/4 of a mil. If we do the second opinion, which is 2/3 of a mil, it would be a little less, 12 minutes. Because it would be 6, 12, and 18. So this would be 12 minutes, the first 2/3 of a mil. That means, what we're learning here, according to Rabbi Yehuda, how long does Bein HaShmashot last? 13.5 minutes, or 12 minutes. Between 12 and 13.5 minutes, again, approximately. If you want to do a mil with 24 minutes, then you have to up it a little bit. 24 minutes, you divide in 4, what do you have? It would be 18, because it would be 6, 12, 18, and 24. So 3/4 would be 18 minutes for Bein HaShmashot. And if you want to do 2/3, what do you have?
16.
You have 8, 16, and 24. 2/3 would be 16. So it's either 18 minutes or 16 minutes. That's the sheer Bein HaShmashot according to Rabbi Yehuda. Right? That's what we see here from this Gemara. Now, we can understand Tosfos' question. Now come back into Tosfos. Let's see his question. Now it will be very clear. V'loi kashamau hukra. This pasuk doesn't create a problem. L'tanoi the perek b'memadlik. The ka'amar Rabbi Yehuda said, Mishatishka hachama kolzman shepnei bizrach madin. When the sun sets, as long as you could see the light of the sun, the redness of the sun, it's still Bein HaShmashot. And there's one opinion there, Shnei Chelkei Mil, that it's 2/3 of a mil. 2/3 of a mil, which we said. If a mil is 18 minutes, what's 2/3 of a mil? 13.5, right? I'm sorry. 2/3 of a mil would be 12, because it's 18 minutes, so we want to do 6 and 12 and 18, Shnei Chelkei Mil. Or even if you do the other opinion, he's going now the minimum. You would only get another minute and a half, 13.5. Again, it's either 2/3 or 3/4. That's an argument what Rabbi Yehuda meant. But it's not a huge argument. It's a question of a minute and a half, right? Shu lefi anira. Anybody could see that it's shog doilo lefnei tzesek echavim. This is a shog doilo. This is a significant amount of time before the stars emerged. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, what happens after Bein HaShmashot? It's night. The only question is on Bein HaShmashot. After Bein HaShmashot is pure night. So I have here a problem. You're telling me here in the Gemara that Chaim until Tzisik Chavim is night, and it's not a one shit in Gemara. It's a pasuk in Tanakh which is why the Gemara can't argue with it. It's kaimalan. Kaimalan means this is a premise. We're not deviating from it. So Rabbi Yehuda can't argue with a pasuk. And this is how Chazal understood it. That's why it's not even being questioned. So fine, I understand you. So till Tzeis HaKechavim, we consider Yemama. Now I ask you a question. According to Rabbi Yehuda, when does Laila begin? Laila begins much before Tzeis HaKechavim. The sun sets, you wait 12 minutes, according to one opinion, or 13 and a half minutes, and you night. Now you go out after sunset 12 minutes, and Tosfos says, you'll see it's not Tzeis HaKechavim yet. But you're telling me till Tzeis HaKechavim is, Yemama is by day. The Tanoim should have been challenged and say, you can't have such an opinion. You need to extend the time much longer to make Laila, because you have to wait till Tzeis HaKechavim. This is Tosfos' question. L'cha'ira, this time is much before Tzeis HaKechavim. There's still time to Tzeis HaKechavim. Or as the Maharsha puts it, Shah G'doila means an hour. He says actually it means an hour. Shah G'doila, from Shkia till Tzeis HaKechavim is approximately a Shah G'doila, the Maharsha says. That's what it means, an hour, and not 12 and a half minutes. Same concept. But the point is that it seems like night is coming much, much too early based on what the Pasuk told us when night has to begin. This should have been a great challenge for Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, especially if you say Shnei Chel Pemil, which is such a small amount of time, and it's already light. So Tosfos says it's not a problem. You know why? The Ein on the B'kiyin B'Tzeis HaKechavim. We are not real experts in the stars emerging. And let's understand, when we say the stars come out at night, the stars don't come out at night. The stars are there 24 hours a day. The stars are here right now. The only one problem, the sun is shining. When the sun is shining, the sun eclipses the stars. Stars don't come out at night. The stars are always there. The stars are there. Depends on the group of stars, but the stars are there. Just we don't see the stars until the sun sets. Yeah. Which reminds me, I once went to a particular person for voice lessons to learn how to speak, so not to get hoarse. And he gave me very rigorous homework, and I didn't follow the homework. And when I came back the next time, he asked me if I did the homework. Of course, I wanted to tell him yes, but I didn't want to lie, so I said no. And no good deed goes unpunished. So he blew up, and he started to scream at me how I'm not taking these lessons seriously, and I'm going to miserably fail. And even Avremel Fried and all of the great singers go there and listen to him. And he said, you know what your problem is? Your problem is that you think you're a star. Because you think you're a star, you don't have to listen to me. But let me tell you something. Here in this office, the sun shines. When the sun shines, there's no stars. Absolutely no stars. Here you're a simple person. You're not a star. Okay, so it stayed with me. And I thought that's a good way to describe day and night. He was screaming at me, but I was already using it for a shir. The sun shines, there's no stars. So there are stars, you just don't see them. So Tosfos, when you say Tzeis HaKechavim, it doesn't mean there's no star. And you'll see, sometimes you look up, right? Just like you could see the moon sometimes, right? Late morning you could see the moon. Not today, but late morning you could see the moon. In the evening before sunset, you could sometimes see the moon. It's coming, it's following up. Sometimes you could see a star, if it's a very big star. If it's a small star, you won't. So he says, Ein on the B'kiyin B'Tzeis HaKechavim. The Gemara says over there, Masechta Shabbos. What does the Gemara say? That Tzeis HaKechavim doesn't mean big stars which will appear by day. You'll see 3 big stars. It's not night, it's day. But neither the tiny, small stars, when I say tiny, they're not really small. From our perspective, they're small, which you will only see later at night. Ela beinanim. You need intermediary stars. Now, who is the exact expert what the Chazal meant by beinanim? What, even the Chazal themselves, what is this beinanim that we're looking for? That's not so simple. So I'm asking a question. After 12 and a half minutes from Shkiyas HaChamad, there's still a long time till Tzeis HaKechavim. Excuse me. Maybe the Tzeis HaKechavim I'm looking about is the small stars. Yes, there's a long time for the small stars to come out. But the Beinanim perhaps are there 12 and a half minutes later, 13 minutes later, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later. So Mela, it's not a problem. Rabbi Yehuda agrees till Tzeis HaKechavim is Yoim. If till Tzeis HaKechavim is Yoim, after 12 and a half minutes from Shki, you still have a long time till Tzeis HaKechavim. Who told you what Tzeis HaKechavim is? Tzeisach Kechavim means when the stars come out. Which stars come out? The big stars you could see sometimes during the day. The small stars, you won't even see them. You won't even see if you wait till Tzeisach Kechavim. You'll have to wait later. It's a certain size star that you have to be an expert on exactly what it is. Most people are not experts. And therefore, Rabbi Yehuda himself, Tainas, yes, I'm telling you, this is the time of Tzeisach Kechavim after this Bein. Till then is Bein HaShmashot. Till then is Bein HaShmashot. Ad kan Tosfos. Was fragt er? The Gemara says from sunset it gets dark. That's not Laila yet. But it's getting dark. No one argues that it's not getting dark. Everybody says it's getting dark. Right? Okay. Now, you have a Masechta Pesachim. Please take your Masechta Pesachim and turn to Daf Tzadik Daled Amud Beis. I'm sorry, Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph. Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph. 94a. Take a look. Masechta Pesachim Amud Aleph. Okay. If you don't have, maybe you could just look with somebody. We're just going to read 2 lines from here. In the middle of the page, the line, mamash in the middle of the page, the line starts off, Echad Mishisha B'yoim Meisve. Rabbi Yehuda says, Oiv Yoy Shal Rakia Echad Me'asara B'yoim Teida Kama Ma'al Echad B'einani B'yoim Eser Parshas. Now listen to the next words. Rabbi Yehuda is speaking. Rabbi Yehuda, this is the Tana Rabbi Yehuda. Me'alois HaShachar Ad Neitzachama Arba'as Milin. From dawn break to sunrise is the shear of 4 mil, approximately 4 kilometers. If we say it's 18 minutes, a mil is 18 minutes, 18, 36, twice 36 is 72. So Rabbi Yehuda is telling me from dawn break to sunrise is average 72 minutes. Again, if you put a mil at 22 and a half minutes or 24 minutes, it's much longer. 24 times 4 is 24, 48, 96 minutes from Alois to Nates. But let's go with the 18, 72 minutes. Fine. Next. Here's the key. Mishkia Sachama V'Tzeisach Kechavim Arba'as Milin. From sunset till Tzeisach Kechavim, again 4 mil, 72 minutes. Who said this? Rabbi Yehuda. Does his name ring a bell? Of course. He's the guy who told us that Bein HaShmashot is 12 and a half minutes. And then his night. And Tosfos just justified him and defended him. That who knows when Tzeisach Kechavim is. And suddenly in Pesachim he tells me I have to wait 72 minutes. From sunset till Tzeisach Kechavim. And we know till Tzeisach Kechavim is considered day. What is going on here? And there's the same Rabbi Yehuda. Now this creates a tremendous ruckus, tremendous problem and a tremendous difficulty in halacha. So let's take a look now. We saw this Gemara. Let's take a look now back in your copies Shabbos. Daf Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. Trei Tilsei Mil. The second Tosfos. Shabbos Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. Trei Tilsei Mil. Rabbi Yehuda says that Bein HaShmashot is 2/3 of a mil. Right? What was 2/3 of a mil again? 6, 12, 18. How much 2/3 of a mil? 12 minutes. Kasha. We have a problem. Here we see the Mishkiyas Achamad Halayla Leka Ella Tlasa Rive Mil. There's 2 opinions here. He's using one opinion. We see from Shkiyas Achamad till night is how much? 3/4 of a mil. What would be 3/4 of a mil? 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 13.5. That's clear. For Rabbi Yehuda Gufay, the same man, Rabbi Yehuda himself, Gufay himself, Bepsachim Perik Misha Yatame, Savar the Meshkiyas Achamad Tzedek Chavim Arba Milin. That from Shkiyas Achamad to Tzedek Chavim is 4. What is going on here? It's not a difference of a minute. Between 13.5 minutes and 72 minutes. You're dealing with how much time? You're dealing with almost an hour. Almost a full hour. When night is. Okay, so tell me maybe Rabbi Yehuda is saying after 13 and a half minutes, it's night. It's not Tzeisek Echavim, it's night. We can't say that. But Tzeisek Echavim Lailu. What's the definition of night? Tzeisek Echavim Beis Pesachim Dav Beis. Ukedemuchach Bekra. Everyone knows you can't say, Rabbi Yehuda says it's night after 13 and a half minutes. It's Tzeisek Echavim 72 minutes. If it's Tzeisek Echavim 72 minutes, that's the time of Laila. It's not 2 times, as the Gemara clearly says here in Pesachim. Gewaldike Shaila. It's this question that will once and for all explain to you what you find in every Jewish community. You come to one shul, they say, Shkia, mincha, fast. Shkia is in 5 minutes, let's do mincha. And other people are still walking around. They go to the mikveh, they still go to the office, and suddenly it's pitch black and they decide it's time to daven mincha. Right? Here you have people by plag already, they're finished ma'ariv, and they're off on vacation for the next 16 hours. They don't have to hear from davening. And other people, 50 minutes after Shkia, 55 minutes after Shkia, very calm, cool, and collective. They're busy doing mincha. Where did this happen in the Jewish world? How did this happen? So everybody just knows that it's a confusion. What is it? So today you'll, Be'ezer Hashem, understand how this happened. What happened? It all this Tosfos. This Tosfos is guilty for everything. Mamish, this Tosfos, Shabbos, Lamed Hey, Amud Aleph, is the source of everything. Rabbeinu Tam said, this is ridiculous. What is Rabbi Yehuda thinking? There's too big of a contradiction. So Rabbeinu Tam came up with a brilliant idea. Rabbeinu Tam said, the Hasemairi betchilas Shkia. Over there, Pesachim is talking about the beginning of Shkia. V'hacha mishetishka misayv Shkia. Acher shenichnas echama b'ayvi yarakia. What does this mean? Tchilas Shkia, sayv Shkia. What Rabbeinu Tam is saying is, there are 2 separate Shkias. And when you read Gemarah in one place, Gemarah in another place, you have to know it's not the same Shkia. Shkia means setting. Shekeya, something sets, something leaves, something submerges, right? But Shkia here means the sun sets. But Shkia has 2 separate definitions of Shkia. Completely different definitions of Shkia. To make it a little clearer, I'm going to bring you now back to Pesachim Daf Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph, Tosfos. Rabbi Yehuda Meshkias Acham Tzedek Echavim Arba Milan. Same question. Kashel Rabbeinu Tam. The Beis Bamem Madlikin Omar Ezel Bein HaShmashot Mitzvishka Acham Calls Mansham Bnei Mizrach Madinim. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda Umaskinen Hasim the Bein HaShmashot Rabbi Yehuda Tlase Rive Mil 3/4 of a mil, which means 13 and a half minutes. V'hachik Omar Rabbi Yehuda Gufei Arba Milan. V'yesh Loimar. The hachik Omar Mitchilas Shkia. The Hainu Mishah Shemaschelas Achama Likonis Ba'evi Yorakia. From the moment the Chama leaves and disappears, Ad halayla till night have a daled milin. V'hasim and Masechta Shabbos ka'ama misayv Shkia. Same Tosfos of Shabbos Lamed Hey is repeated here in Pesachim Tzaddik Daled in the name of the same person, Rabbeinu Tam. What is he saying? What Rabbeinu Tam is teaching us here is there are 2 Shkias. There's the first Shkia and there's the second Shkia. And this is, according to Rabbeinu Tam, what created the whole confusion. The first Shkia means when the sun sets. The actual physical, if this is the sun, if we have a ball, and this is the sun, and the actual ball sets from the horizon, so actually I'm facing now west, you're facing east, I look, and the sun is going down, and down, and down, and down, and down, and down, and then the ball disappears. Not part of the ball, the entire ball. Of course, it happens takes a few minutes for the whole ball. The ball disappeared from the horizon, it's not here. That's the first Shkia. That's called sunset. At that point, it's going to be very light outside. It's not going to be as light as 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a sunny day, obviously, but it's going to be pretty light outside at that moment. The sun is not here. Yes, the ball is not here, but the light is all over the place. That's called the first Shkia. The first Shkia. When Rabbi Yehuda said in Pesachim, from Shkia till Tzeisek Echavim is 72 minutes, which Shkia did he mean? That Shkia, the first Shkia. But then there's a second Shkia. Not the Shkia of the sun, the Shkia of the light of the sun. The first Shkia is the sun. The second Shkia, the real Shkia, What he calls here second shkia, soif shkia, is the end of the setting of the sun. What do I mean, the end of the setting of the sun? Not that the ball disappeared, that the light is gone. The sun continued further and further down from my perspective of the horizon as it travels around the planet Earth. Again, from our perception, we're not now getting into the discussion of the sun and the earth. That's not for now. But the bottom line is, the sun sets is the first shkia. The light sets, meaning there's no light anymore. The sun has traveled so much westward. In another place, it's now sunrise. But for us, it's complete sunset. What's complete sunset? The light is also set. That's the second shkia. Says Rabbeinu Tam a gewaltige Chiddush. When Rabbi Yehuda said that Bein HaShmashot is after shkia 13 and a half minutes, or 12 minutes, or 18 minutes, or 60 minutes, he meant from the second shkia, after the sun sets, and it's soon going to be pitch dark. It's not mamish pitch dark, but it's pretty dark after the second shkia, because the light is also gone. But there's still something, some glimmer, some redness. At that point, the second shkia, that's when Bein HaShmashot begins. Bein HaShmashot begins, Rabbi Yehuda says it's 13 and a half minutes, and after that is Seisach HaChavim. After that is night.
The first shkia is clear, but the second?
The first shkia is pretty clear. You can have a question of a few minutes sometimes. Depends where you're standing, mountains, trees, top of a building, or bottom of a building. But it's a question of a few minutes. And according to Rabbeinu Tam, that's nothing. That's all day. That's daytime. That's worthless. The shkia that everybody screams, shkia, shkia, shkia. Rabbeinu Tam says, relax. The ball is disappearing. The light is not, it's not shkia. It's shkia physically, but it's not shkia halachically. So the two Gemaras work perfectly. In Pesachim, Rabbeinu Tam is talking about the first shkia. From the first shkia till Tzesek HaChavim is 72 minutes. That's where 72 minutes came into the Jewish world. 4 mil, a mil is 18 minutes. Some people don't wait 72 minutes. Some people want to wait 96 minutes because a mil is much longer. They don't want 72 minutes. Yeah? Some people like to wait a whole week. What do you have to finish? What do you have to work? Why don't we just continue? Why don't we just continue? Well, you can make a meal into 2 days and then you're good. By the time you're finished, it's already next Shabbos. What do you have to bother to go to work? Okay, that's another shitta, pretty common one. But in terms of technicality, in terms of a shitta, how much is it? This is where 72 minutes happen. So Mele, you'll say, this Zman Rabbeinu Tam. What's Zman Rabbeinu Tam? Rabbeinu Tam invented a new time. Zman Rabbeinu Tam means the way Rabbeinu Tam understood how to answer the contradiction in the Gemarah. When does Shabbos come in Friday evening? After Shkia, wait 72 minutes. When does Shabbos end? Mitzvah Shabbos, wait 72 minutes after Shkia, after the sun sets, wait 72 minutes. But wait, there's Bein HaShmashot in the middle. When does Bein HaShmashot begin? Bein HaShmashot begins after the second shkia before the 72 minutes, which means Bein HaShmashot begins approximately 58, 59, 60 minutes after the first shkia is Bein HaShmashot. Bein HaShmashot we already have to treat as the new day or as the previous day. So, for example, Friday you can't do any malacha then. But according to Rabbeinu, you could do malacha way after everybody else is doing. You got another 58 minutes after sunset to do whatever you want because it's not Bein HaShmashot. Then you have to quit because it's Bein HaShmashot. And then we have obviously Tzesek HaChavim, which is a much later Tzesek HaChavim. According to this, it's 72 minutes after sunset, which is a pretty significant amount of time. And as everybody knows, it's quite dark at that time. It's pretty dark at that time. That's the shita of Rabbeinu Tam, the chiddush of Rabbeinu Tam in the sugya of Bein HaShmashot.
Is there a difference in which part of the planet you are as far as the quickness of the shkia?
Of course, a huge difference. A huge difference. When we say, the question is there a difference where you are in terms of the shear of Bein HaShmashot and all that? Yes, as all the Poskim explain, Rabbi Yehuda was talking about in a particular place, a particular vantage point. And very often you have to extend that. Very often you have to extend that longer, which is why, even within itself, there are different shiurim and so forth.
But if someone is keeping their Bein Tam 72 minutes, so Friday do a 50 minutes.
If you are really embracing the Shittu Rabbeinu Tam, which we'll see in a moment, is far from simple. But in the world of Rabbeinu Tam, yes. Or in the world of Rabbeinu Tam, yes, that's what he held. That's what he really believed. That's what he held was the truth. The first Shkia has nothing to do with night.
50 minutes.
50?
15.
15.
50 minutes.
First
That's
year.
not
Where does the year come from? Shabbos.
No, before 72 minutes, you still have Bein HaShmashot. But that Bein HaShmashot is what? Is only 3/4 of a mil. What's 3/4 of a mil? 3/4 of a mil we said is what? 13.5 minutes. So go back from 72 minutes, right? 13.5 minutes, and what is it? 58.5 minutes. So 58.5 minutes after sunset, Rabbeinu Tam will say, according to Rabbi Yehuda, Bein HaShmashot begins, stop doing melacha, and soon will be night. Or Matzai Shabbos, you still have to be worried because it's Bein HaShmashot. After 72 minutes, you can get into your car and drive away. But till then, it's Bein HaShmashot, and therefore, we're again, Safek Yom, Safek Laila, Safek both, we're not clear. That's his shit. Or if you say 2/3, so 2/3 is what? 12 minutes. So go from 70 to 12 minutes, exactly 60 minutes. 60 minutes after sunset starts Bein HaShmashot. Again, it's 58.5 or 60. It's that zone, that area of time. Was fragst du? The halacha is generally like Rabbi Yehuda. The halacha is generally like Rabbi Yehuda, even though we try to incorporate, according to most opinions, the view of Reb Nechemia, according to those who say that Chatzi Mil starts after Rabbi Yehuda's time, which is why it's often extended, plus the climate, the place where you are on the planet, which is why, according to the regular opinion, which we'll now explore for a moment, you don't just say 12.5 minutes, 13.5 minutes after Shkia, no one says Shabbos is over, you wait longer. Because we do extend it, first of all based on the place, and we also try to incorporate other shittas, but certainly Rabbi Yehuda is embraced lahalach. Now, let's see the end of this Tosfos. Shabbos Daf Lamed Hey, let's see the end of this Tosfos. Shabbos Daf Lamed Hey, we already learned Rabbeinu Tam. Avol Tema Liri. My pligi, why is there even an argument? We know from Tzeisak Echavim is night, so why are the Tanoim arguing? Why is there Bechal an argument? V'yesh loymar, and what is Tosfos asking? So why is there an argument? Tzeisak Echavim is Tzeisak Echavim. You just told me when Tzeisak Echavim is. According to Rabbeinu Tam, you told me it's 72 minutes later. Fine, so what's the issue? Just wait for Tzeisak Echavim. This is a big question. Or to put the question a little sharply, who came up with the idea of Bein HaShmashot? Why is there Bein HaShmashot? Wait for Tzeisak Echavim. V'yesh loymar. Now you'll understand the argument. The whole period of Bein HaShmashot, from his second Shkia till his tzeis, during that period, those 13.5 minutes or 18 minutes or 16 minutes, the stars that we see, he's not sure. Are they called Beinanim? And if they're Beinanim, it's already night, or they're still called G'dolim, and therefore it's still day. He's not sure. He's not sure. That's why everyone holds that Tzeisak Echavim is Lailan till is Yom, till Tzeisak Echavim is Yom. But the question is, what's Tzeisak Echavim? That's what Tosfos just told us here in Pesachim also. What is Tzeisak Echavim? That is the problem. The problem is the reality. Pasha, we don't know what Tzeisak Echavim is, and that's why we have to bring the time of Tzeisak Echavim earlier and say that that's also night. Not because we believe before Tzeisak Echavim is night, it's not. But because we don't know when Tzeisak Echavim is, that itself is a suffix. What I mean? We may have Bein HaShmashot, yeah. Before Tzeisak Echavim, what we call Tzeisak Echavim, we have a Bein HaShmashot, which is a suffix Tzeisak Echavim. You understand? We could wait 72 minutes after Shkia, and then we see stars, right? What about right before that? 5 minutes before, I also see 3 stars. Are you going to tell them? And it's dark outside. It's pretty dark. Right.
So go later.
So we go l'chumrah. It's a suffix min ha-Torah, so we go l'chumrah. Should I do malacha or not? Should I get into my car or not? It's a suffix min ha-Torah, so I go l'chumrah. I'm stringent. And because I'm stringent, I say don't do malacha. Or it's Friday evening, right? I could say, am I allowed to light a candle? No, you're not allowed to light a candle. You may be day, you may be g'dolim, you're good. but I go l'chumra. I assume that it's night. That's the chiddush of Bein HaShmashot. You take the chumra of Shnei Yom. The chumra is that after Shkia, I don't wait 72 minutes and I call it night. Already 12 and 13 and a half minutes before I have to call night. So if it's Friday, the chumra is I have to stop doing malacha before Bein HaShmashot. If it's Motzei Shabbos, what's the chumra? The chumra would be I have to wait 72 minutes. I say Bein HaShmashot, maybe Motzei Shabbos, but may also be Friday. Maybe Shabbos, and therefore I have to wait. I always take the stringent path. Well, if you say a mil is longer, then chumra would be 96.
So if you have any time to daven after the 60, it's not like a pillar, because it's a suffix after all.
Yes,
So
it's not night. It's not for sure night. Teisek Chavim is night, but we don't know if it's Teisek Chavim yet. That's Bein HaShmashot.
But it's a suffix.
It's a suffix.
So it's not like pillar to daven after 60, if you have any time.
Of course not. Of course, it's like davening after Shkia. Yeah. Yes. So now you know. Rabbeinu Tam doesn't mean you could have a mincha 3 o'clock in the morning because you hold by Rabbeinu Tam. Even Rabbeinu Tam has a Shia. Now, this is all Rabbeinu Tam. This is Rabbeinu Tam. So if you'll open up a Shulchan Aruch, Hilchas Shabbos, Siman Reish Samach Aleph, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, paskins like Rabbeinu Tam. The Mechaber of Shulchan Aruch paskins like Rabbeinu Tam, which means his Shkia is a much later Shkia. His Bein HaShmashot is a much later Bein HaShmashot. It's basically approximately 13 and a half minutes before the 72 minutes. That's when Bein HaShmashot begins. Much later. That's the Shitta of the Shulchan Aruch, which is why it became accepted in many communities, because that's what the Shulchan Aruch paskins, the Beis Yosef, Rabbeinu Yosef Karo, Hilchas Shabbos Siman, Reish Samach Aleph. That's the classic din in Shulchan Aruch. And therefore many of the commentators and poskim around the Shulchan Aruch, including the Shulchan Aruch Harav of the Balatanya, who in Hilchas Shabbos paskins like the Beis Yosef, Rabbeinu Tam's, and that's why in so many communities Rabbeinu Tam became ingrained. However, there's a whole other perspective. And the other perspective is, no. You cannot take Masechta Shabbos and say the Shkia there is not literal Shkia. It's a second Shkia. It's Rabbeinu Tam's Chiddush. But many of the halachic authorities, and I should say the majority of them, disagreed. They said, Masechta Shabbos is the real Shkia. When the sun sets, that's Bein HaShmashot. Which means 13 and a half minutes later, you're already dealing with night. You want to wait for Reb Nechemya? You wait longer. You have to know where you are in the north or in the south? We wait longer. And this is the basic conventional idea that after Shkia, whether it's 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 42 minutes, depends on the area, depends where you are, that's when Motzei Shabbos is. And that's when every night Ma'ariv is, night. And that's why when it comes to first Shkia, that's the cutoff time for Mincha. According to that opinion. Why? Because that's Shkia. It's not the second Shkia of Rabbeinu Tam, it's the first Shkia. The Gemarah says in Pesachim, it's Arba Milin from Shkia till Tzeisak Chavim. So we have a big problem here. We have a huge problem. So some want to say, the main sugya is a Masechta Shabbos, you have a problem. Pesachim, it comes in Derech Agav, and therefore that's not the main sugya. Others say, no, it's not a stira. Tzeisak Chavim means something else. Tzeisak Chavim in Pesachim means when all the stars come out, not 3 stars. Yes, from Shkia Sachama, 72 minutes later, all the stars come out. But the Tzeisak Chavim, the halachic Tzeisak Chavim of the 3 stars, that's much earlier. That's an hour before. 72 minutes. 13 and a half minutes later, that's the 3 stars. Now, I should say, the Biur HaGra, the Vilna Gaon in Shulchan Aruch, has a commentary on Shulchan Aruch, on this Siman, heavily criticizes the verdict of the Mechaber, and believes that this verdict, according to Rabbeinu Tam, is erroneous. It's not the way the halach is. The interesting thing is the Shulchan Aruch Harav, who in Shulchan Aruch supports the Shulchan Aruch, he wrote something called Seder Hachnasas Shabbos. years later, after the Shulchan Aruch, that he printed in his Siddur, in the Balatanya Siddur. And in Seder HaKnotzes Shabbos, the Lubavitcher Siddur. Should be printed here somewhere. Seder HaKnotzes Shabbos, I'm just going to quote. Seder HaKnotzes Shabbos. He completely agrees with the view of the Vilna Gaon. They didn't agree on everything, but on this they agreed. Ma'oid tzarich, retracting his own position in Shulchan Aruch. Ma'oid tzarich lizar badlakas neiris lahadlik koidim shkiyas achama, and he goes into the whole shitta of the first shkia. Do not do any malacha after that shkia. Aval ein lismoich klal lahakel. Al Rabbeinu Beis Yosef b'Shulchan Aruch Hilchos Shabbos v'hi das Rabbeinu Tam v'sayatoi sha'ad kedei hiluch gimel milin revia. Who believes that a whole hour after sunset is mamish day. Do not rely on it. And then Esh starts Bein HaShmashot, which is 3/4 of a mil, and then is Monsey Sechavim. Because Chazal say that it's Dalet Milin. Because in Hilchos Mila, which was written after Hilchos Shabbos, the Mecham Shulchan Aruch himself regretted his position. In Hilchos Mila, he says after the first shkia, that's the mashmos. After the regular shkia is Bein HaShmashot, he himself, v'chein pasuk hashar, v'chein pasuk hapri chadash, v'taimam v'nimukim, they have good reason for this. Rabbeinu Tam is alone in this position. Neged ha'go'onim, neged ha'rishonim. Rav Shreir Gaon held not like him. Rav Hai Gaon, his son, held not like him. Rabbeinu Chananel, Rif, Rambam, Raven, Ribala Toisves, Bala Itur, Rosh, Rabbeinu Yoina, all disagree with Rabbeinu Tam. They all hold Bein HaShmashot begins after the first shkia that Rabbeinu Tam said is meaningless. It's Yoim. Umagam kidazui neged hachush. And the truth is that this opinion contradicts what we perceive in reality. Upliyam is gava. It's astounding that one can maintain this position. Now it's fascinating, these words, he paskin like Rabbeinu Tam in Shulchan Aruch. But that's, here you see how Torah works. You can ask tremendous questions, but the Tam has his answers also. In Seder HaKnotzes Shabbos, he completely rejects this. And he says, and I'll tell you his first proof. I just want to say his first proof. He says, the Gemarah says in Pesachim that the Dalet Mil from Shkia till Tzesek Echavim is the same Dalet Mil from Alois HaShachar till Netzach Chama, same Shir. So now he asks a question. He says, I want to ask you a question. Be'ez Aliyas Alois HaShachar. By Alois HaShachar, what do we see? Nira ba'alul shaharakia, right before dawn break. You see 3 stars. Rakia hu malei kechavim. The heaven is full of stars. V'loi gimel kechavim bilvad. V'kacha hu mamish vadei b'soif hilach dalet milin achar hashkia. The Gemarah says Alois till Nates is shkia till Tzeis. What's the mat? It's just reversed because it's the opposite direction. What's the matzav by Alois? 3 stars? No. By Alois HaShachar, you could go out, you see all the stars. So now what's the matzah by Tzeisak Echavim and Dalet Mil? Parallel to that, you see all the stars. And that's not Tzeisak Echavim and Halacha, that's Tzeis Kolak Echavim. Tzeisak Echavim and Halacha is 3 stars. That's an hour earlier, or almost an hour earlier. That's one of his big rejections here. The kacho mamish vadavos man tchilas alayla leinyan mitzvah shel Torah shel betzeis v'riyas givul chavim levad vaday shel mukdam harbe lezman says uriyas kolak chavim k'may shenira beis aliyas alois hashachar. And he says v'oy yesh pliyos atzumois me'achush al da'azu. There's other big questions from reality, from what we see on this opinion. V'gam rayis rabbis v'atzumis mesugyas hatalmud l'das ha'ga'onim. Tremendous rayas to the view of the Gaonim. The other view is the view of the Gaonim, Reb Hai Gaon and his father Rev Shreir Gaon. Rev Shreir Gaon and his son was Rev Hai Gaon. It's called Shittas HaGaonim versus Shittas Rabbeinu Tam. Hagam she'ein divreim tzichem chizik. They don't have to be mechazik. They don't connect divreim Kabbalah. Their words of a Kabbalah. Which is why you have here this dispute till today. You have communities that still follow the Psak of Shulchan Aruch, which is Rabbeinu Tam. And they do this, and their Gdolim did this. What he did personally, I don't know. In According to this, he rejects the Shitta Lahalacha. Yeah, you don't have to wait. According to this view. That's the Vilna Gaon Shitta also. The Gaon, the Shulchan Aruch, not the Shulchan Aruch, and the Baal Rebbe read completely on this, and yet the Shulchan, and he even believed that the Shulchan Aruch rejected his own opinion in Hilchas Milah after Hilchas Shabbos. So even the Shulchan Aruch, he says, is not so pashut. But this is where the two views come in. Now I'm going to leave off this shir with a question. I want you to think about it. Here's the question. Okay? Does this Gemarah prove a certain shit or not? This Gemarah. Let's think about it. The Gemarah said, that lemachshichu ba kara laila. And the Gemarah rejected it. That if we're learning the Gemarah kipshutai, vayikra lekim la'arya means when it gets light, it's already day. Then you have to say, when it gets dark, it's already night. When it gets dark, we already consider it night, meaning after Shkia. And that's not true, because we see Tiltzei Sekechavim is day. That's what the Gemarah, and the Gemarah maintains this position. Now I ask you a question. That statement is true according to Rabbeinu Tam or true according to the Gaonim? Think about it. Loit Rabbeinu Tam, after sunset, the sun sets for the next hour, is it day? Yeah. Like the Gaonim, after sunset, is considered Safek Laila. So who does the Gemarah support? Rabbeinu Tam. When the Gemarah says, when it gets dark, it's night, it's not night. It's not night. It's Yom Tiltzei Sekechavim. Who holds like that, L'maskan? And that's the maskan of the Gemarah. After Shkiyas Achama is considered day. Only one opinion. Rabbeinu Tam is the only one who says that. Everybody else says the Gaonim hold that what? It's Taka Safek Laila. The moment sun sets, we don't do Malacha Friday. If you don't hold from Rabbeinu Tam, when do you stop doing Malacha Friday? The moment of Shkia. And by the way, I should just add, there's a din of Toisvis Mechayel HaKodesh. You have to add on Shabbos a few minutes before Bein HaShmashot. Right? That's why according to Rabbeinu Tam, you don't wait 60 minutes after Shkia to stop Malacha. You start 3-4 minutes, stop according to those who paskin like the Gaonim. Right? So you have to stop doing Malacha a little. Sometimes people wait mamash to the last second, but there's a halacha, even before Bein HaShmashot, you have to add a little bit. But what do we see from this Gemarah L'chayra? A tremendous raya to Rabbeinu Tam. Because the Gemarah rejects the idea that after sunset is night. After sunset is day. And the only one who says that is Rabbeinu Tam. Everyone else says, L'machshichu ba karoi laila. We take a hold that when it starts getting dark, we don't know, maybe night. L'chayra, this Gemarah is a very strong raya to Rabbeinu Tam against all the other shittas. Okay, we'll resume Beis Hashem Thursday. Have a wonderful day. Now you understand why 50 minutes after Shkia, and some people make a face every day.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.